Number 22, Rick Tocchet of the Philadelphia Flyers in the penalty box right now. 2 minutes for high sticking. 4:54 was the time, and he had that stick right up around the ears. And as of Charlie Huddy, and as a result, he's sitting in the penalty box cooling himself off right now.
Here's Gretzky in the corner. Edmonton with the lead, and Gretzky and the Oilers on the power play to Curry. Back to Coffey, a shot. Blocked by Howe. Coffey held it in. Here's Gretzky. Trying to center. Comes to Tikkanen, the rookie. He tried to get it to Gretzky, but Crossman intercepts that and cleared it down into the Edmonton zone with Huddy going back to get it. To Jari Kurri. Now to Paul Coffey, number 7. Coffey dropping it. Here's Gretzky. Shooting, and Lindbergh came out and got a piece of that. And Tikkanen slides it to Gretzky. Off his stick and intercepted, and Craven clears it away for Philadelphia.
I'm not really that surprised that Tikkanen's getting a lot of ice time regular shift, but I am surprised that he's getting so much ice time on the power play. That's usually something that 5-man unit develops over the course of time, and he couldn't have had much time to practice it.
Here's Propp stealing it for Philadelphia. To Ron Sutter. Back to Propp. Pass eluded him. Ron Sutter now. Trying to center. Curry trying to pry it loose. So does Coffey, and the puck comes to Kevin Lowe. Lowe around on the boards to Jari Kurri. Edmonton on a power play. 33 seconds left in Tocchet's penalty, and here's Lowe. Headmanning to Glenn Anderson. Anderson back to Gretzky, returned. Oh, and put right through the goal crease by Anderson, and then Anderson knocked down, and Propp feeds it out for Philadelphia. Lowe for the Oilers. Over to Fogelin, now to Anderson. He shoots it in for Messier. Crossman going back to pick it up. And he cleared the zone, and the Oilers, Fogelin has to hustle back. Tocchet is back on. The Flyers have killed it off, and Brad Marsh has it at center. To Miroslav Dvorak, who shoots it in. Low for the Oilers, giving it to Fogelin. Fired back to center. And the Flyers with Brad Marsh dumping into the Edmonton zone. Lowe going back to get it. And this is an icing call against Philadelphia. 12:46 left in the second period. 1-0, Edmonton leading. The place. 12:46 left in the second period. Edmonton leading 1-0. McClellan getting ready for a face-off, but Dave Poulin, native of Timmins, Ontario, who played college hockey at Notre Dame, questioning the linesman, and Poulin wins the face-off. Here's McClellan. Dropping it to Coffey. Coffey shot. Lindbergh to his knees to make the save. And he held on to it.
And meanwhile, Brad Marsh right in front of the net, doing his job, making sure that no Oiler was about to take a second whack at that puck, even though Pelle Lindbergh had it well tied up. Big Mike Krushelnyski, number 26, standing his ground in front, but that was number 17, Ed Hospodar, that John D'Amico is having some words with right now. I think D'Amico wants to make sure that he keeps this man intact. Ed Hospodar can get riled up pretty easy.
Hospodar came over to Philadelphia this year, signed as a free agent, and there you see him bumping with McClellan. And we're going to get penalties. Hospodar and Krushelnyski will go to the penalty box.
Well, Mike Keenan wanted to get a tough, rugged defenseman, and Hospodar definitely fits that bill. He's been with the Rangers and with the Hartford Whalers, and finding a home here in Philadelphia right now.
So roughing penalties to Hospodar and Krushelnyski. And each team will be a man short. That's the way Edmonton scored their earlier goal. And that's the situation coming up right now for number 99, Wayne Gretzky and the Oilers, plus the Philadelphia Flyers.
Well, I just think once again that you play 4-on-4 or 3-on-3 against the Edmonton Oilers, and you're asking for a little bit of trouble. The Philadelphia Flyers can check, they can skate, they work hard out there, but the more ice you give the Edmonton Oilers, the more they enjoy it out there. So this puts really the Flyers in a little bit worse position than it does the Oilers.
Ron Sutter won that faceoff from Gretzky, and Howe gives it to Sutter, trying to feed Craven just out of his reach. You're clearing it in. Now Ron Sutter in front, backhander, and he shot it just wide. Sutter again, trying to center, but Gretzky intercepts. Gretzky to Curry. Now a pass ahead for Coffey. He didn't see it coming. The puck goes the length of the ice, and this will be icing against Edmonton.
Well, when the Philadelphia Flyers are faced with this situation, though, they're very clever to put their mobile players out there. Doug Crossman and Mark Howe, of course, their two most mobile defensemen were out there on the ice. Ron Sutter doing the checking job against Gretzky, and Murray Craven that can move pretty well out there.
Gary Curry heading for the Edmonton bench. 18 goals so far in the playoffs this year, and his next will tie an all-time Stanley Cup playoff record. 19 goals. That's set by a former Flyer, Reggie Leach.
Well, not much question that Wayne Gretzky and Jari Kurri are the most exciting 1-2 punch in the National Hockey League. They're a real treat to watch out there when they are playing. Jari Kurri really with the greater of the two, speed, and Wayne Gretzky likes to feed him. Not a selfish player the least bit. Neither one of those players are selfish. They're just great playmakers. Any left winger, a real treat to play with those two guys.
By the way, Reggie Leach had his 19 goals in 1976. Puck is shot down the ice by Edmonton. Miroslav Dvorak back to get it. And as he touches it, another icing call coming up against the Oilers. Mike Liutas touched briefly on the fact that Philadelphia's game plan or their big success comes when they take the lead in the game. Do you agree with that thinking, Gary?
Yeah, no question, Dan. And they have done that, not just under Mike Keenan's guidance, but for years the Philadelphia Flyers in this building just come at you and forecheck, as I said today, the forecheck the socks off you, and they like to get that early lead, and then they can defend it pretty well. And of course it changes a little bit when they have to play catch-up hockey.
That's what they're having to do right now. They're trailing 1-0. Here's Messier for the Oilers. Each team still a man short. Messier taken out by Crossman. Puck knocked back of the net, and Howe cleared it out for Philadelphia. Kevin Lowe will touch it, and the linesman will whistle it down because of an icing call, and that faceoff will come back deep into the Philadelphia zone.
Now Glenn Sather, you see him behind the bench for the Edmonton Oilers, stirring up things a little bit after game one. Glenn Sather, a very lively and colorful person in Stanley Cup playoffs. He, as Dan Kelly had mentioned in the first part of the game, a little upset because of the fact that Pelle Lindbergh had water bottles on the top of his net, and he had that really since halfway through this season. He's been utilizing that. Pelle Lindbergh getting a little dehydrated. Glenn Sather said, well, you're going to have water bottles on the net. You might as well have cheese and crackers. You might as well bring out a bucket of Kentucky Fried Chicken and we'll just have lunch. Well, didn't go over too well, but that is Glenn Sather in the way that he can express himself at times.
Here's Mark Howe for Philadelphia. Shooting one, and that's blocked by Lowe. Held in by Howe. Rebound. Craven hit the goalpost with the rebound. Centered, and Jari Kurri knocked it away. Howe held it in. The Flyers now carry right back in. Ron Sutter to Craven. Craven dropping it to Crossman. Crossman checked, and Gretzky and the Oilers come back. Here's Gretzky with Kurri on a 2-on-1. Gretzky into the slot. Lindbergh slides out and made a big save on Gretzky. Lindbergh stayed right with Gretzky there. Back comes Craven. He's checked and copied. Feeds Messier. Messier checked by Howe. Messier again. In front, Huddy's shot. Big save, Pelle Lindbergh there. And then the puck winds up underneath the fallen Flyer player, Craven, in the corner. And a couple of perhaps game savers there by that man, Pelle Lindbergh. By the way, Pelle will celebrate his 26th birthday tomorrow.
Well, he's celebrating right now, I would think, just after making a great save on Wayne Gretzky. Watch the way that Gretzky just maneuvers out there. Mark Howe will tell you how well he maneuvers, as he really got caught on Gretzky's move, but Pelle Lindbergh makes the initial save. Gretzky then went for the rebound, just couldn't find the net. And then Mark Messier here on this drive just sends it out to Charlie Huddy, number 22. Huddy lets it go, and Lindbergh comes up with another big save. So Lindbergh had his hands full there in the last 20 seconds.
Stanley Lindbergh, the Flyer goaltender, getting ready for this face-off to the right of the Philadelphia net. 10.5 minutes left in the second period. It's still 1-0 Edmonton.
Actually, on that 4-on-4 situation, the Philadelphia Flyers actually controlled the play for the majority of the time and could not work themselves into a good scoring position on Grant Fuhr, and as so often happens, as soon as there was a turnover in play, the Edmonton Oilers just come out gangbusters and break out on you very quickly.
Messier against Poulin. Puck is taken by Marsh for Philadelphia. Shot it. Messier held it in, tried to feed Krushelnyski. Messier again intercepting. But Poulin will get it for the Flyers. And as he cleared it over the glass. Randy Gregg, as we mentioned, is back on the Edmonton bench after suffering a knee injury in the first period. He's back on the bench, but has not yet played in this second period.
No, he hasn't, and of course that's going to mean a little bit more ice time for players like Kevin Lowe and Charlie Huddy and Paul Coffey. All of those players, of course, can take lots of ice time. Let's take a look at that shot once again by Charlie Huddy. How well he moves in from the point. He sees Messier with possession of the puck, and Messier wasn't really in the position to score, so Huddy just very quickly moving into the slot.
Here is Marsh for Philadelphia. Lead pass to center for Carson. He was taken out on the play. And as Coffey goes back to touch it, it's an icing call against Philadelphia once again. Edmonton showing that they're not just the prolific scoring team, but they're playing a very disciplined game tonight too.
And Dan, they can do that because we have seen the Edmonton Oilers, and especially referring back to last year in the Stanley Cup playoffs against the good defensive team, the New York Islanders, and the Edmonton Oilers really showed people in the NHL that they can play a pretty good defensive game as well as a good, strong offensive game.
Here's Huddy sliding the puck back in. Lindbergh is there, and Marsh tries to clear it. Tim Kerr couldn't get away from Coffey. Now Poulin picking it up. Dave Poulin taken out by Messier. Coffey trying to clear it. Here's Poulin again in front to Kerr. He scores! No, he did not, apparently. Or yes, he did. Tim Kerr ties this game at 1-1. Did the red light ever come on, Gary?
I don't think so, Dan, and I really lost sight of that puck. Kerr shot it so quickly that I wasn't sure whether it went in or whether it was deflected. Let's see how this was set up and how quickly that shot came. Paul Coffey taking his man out in front, or in the corner, I should say. Poulin sending it out. Here comes Kerr. Have a tough time following that puck even on the replay, but it does end up in the net. Let's watch it from the second angle. Poulin putting that puck out. Now you can see it much better. Kerr just getting some wood on it and letting it go. Grant Fuhr, you can see the expression on Fuhr. He didn't know where that puck went either, but it was behind him. Paul Coffey going into the boards, but Poulin, nobody on Poulin, and nobody, obviously, on Tim Kerr. That's the best scoring chance that the Philadelphia Flyers have had all game long, and they took advantage of it.
Now the red light comes on.
I'd say he was a little late down there.
A little. Tim Kerr gets the goal, and the Flyers battle back to tie it at 1-1. That may be the most doubtful he shoots, he scores I've ever said.
Well, I was with you though, Dan. I didn't know where that puck went.
Kerr's goal is 10th of the playoffs, assisted by Poulin and Carson. 10:22 the time here in the second period. Here's Zezel shooting it in. Comes right back to Zezel. He banned on it. And now the Oilers led by Hunter. Drop pass to McClellan. Shot right on. Lindbergh made the save. And now an injured Oiler, Kevin McClellan, down on the ice.
And I think that was Ed Hospodar that ran into McClellan. He may not know which city he is in right now. The trainer for the Oilers rushed out there very quickly. I think asking him his name, his telephone number, and a bunch of other vital statistics. Let's watch and see how that collision occurred. I think it was Hospodar that ran into Kevin McClellan and ran him pretty good. That has been an ongoing battle between those two players.
Very similar to the check that Messier gave to Sinisalo back in the first period.
Well, they don't call him Boxcar Hospital for nothing.
You talk about forechecking the socks off the guy. A check like that makes your socks change feet.
They'll say they're examining the situation on the ice very closely right now, and he knows that this series is going to be full of hard knocks and lots of intensity from this point onwards.
For our local citizens, we'll pause here. You're watching the Stanley Cup Final live on USA.
Kevin McClellan knows where he is even now, while he's sitting on the bench of the Edmonton Oilers. Ed Hospodar, having gone off for a rest. A big hit like Hospodar's just continues the momentum for the Philadelphia Flyers. After scoring that goal, the Flyers started their swarming again, and of course with that check, Hospodar landed on McClellan. That just gives the Philadelphia Flyers a little bit more.
Here's Ron Sutter dumping it in for Philadelphia. Kevin Lowe back to get it. Cleared it to Curry. Sutter intercepted. His shot blocked by Lowe. And then Lowe is able to clear it out for the Oilers. Crossman flipping one for Ron Sutter. Shot in, and Derek Smith taken out by Lowe. Here's Tikkanen for Edmonton. Failed to clear it, but the Oilers get it anyway, and Gretzky head-manning it to Tikkanen, who leaves it for Curry. Gary Curry shot it in. Howe knocked it down, and then Derek Smith ran into the Oiler player. Puck shot in, and the Flyers quickly clear it right out, and here's Howe to Derek Smith. Shooting! Oh, and he just missed there. Howe trying to get the rebound in front. Gary Curry tied him up. And then Curry, and attempting to clear it, cleared it over the glass. 8:14 left in the second period. A 1-1 game. This is what you call an old-fashioned hockey game, Gary.
Well, it really is, Dan. Lots of good hard knocks out there, and of course in a 1-1 hockey game, not exactly the same type of series that the Edmonton Oilers just finished against the Chicago Blackhawks. Let's watch some of these good chances that the Philadelphia Flyers have had as of late. That was Derek Smith, number 24 for the Flyers, that got that shot away just a little bit wide as Pure got a piece of it. But the Flyers, no question, have a little bit of momentum going for them right now, and with a 1-1 hockey game, of course, they're starting over brand new.
Poulin shot just wide, and the Oilers clear the puck right up the middle of the ice. Lindbergh comes out to play it. Messier will hold it in for Edmonton. He's taken out by Kerr. Now Anderson for Edmonton. Trying to center one. Napier poked it in front, but Marsh is there to clear it. Now Huddy pinching in from the point. Couldn't get it in front. And now play is called. And Marsh argues with the referee, Kerry Fraser, about this call, which is going to be a penalty to Philadelphia. And I think to Brad Marsh for slashing. From wherever you are, we hope you're enjoying the Stanley Cup Finals here on USA Sports.
Stanley Cup champions here in Philadelphia, the Oiler dressing room. One of the Oilers refused for many years to take a walk with us, and it's a short walk, as you can see, into our studio. But tonight, after respectfully declining many times, Gary Curry will make the walk into our studio.
Al, what are you doing? I'm trying to watch the game
and
here.
We'll
please
interview him at the end of the period, so be with us.
And Al Trowig now even has Mike Liut acting. Here's Howe trying to clear one. Huddy held it in. Into the corner to Anderson. Edmonton on a power play, by the way. This coffee shot off a stick up into the crowd. Marsh on that last play got a high sticking penalty, 12-11 the time. And so Edmonton on a power play.
Well, and you can see the fans here in the Spectrum were scrambling for that souvenir, and look who was the strongest of them all. Well, she won herself a puck and a souvenir of the Stanley Cup Finals. Let's take a look at some of this action here in the Philadelphia end zone. And once again, Pelle Lindbergh having to make some key saves right here. Oilers were unable to get that second shot on net. And Lindbergh really has been the difference here, because he has made a number of big saves that could have well have given Edmonton a bigger lead.
Here's Huddy for the Oilers. Dropping it to Messier. Over to Coffey. Paul Coffey shooting. Lindbergh, a glove save there. And he held on.
That's the real.
When the score was 1-0, Gary, he made 2 or 3 very big saves that could have turned this game greatly or drastically in favor of Edmonton.
Dan, you were reading my mind, and as we see this shot coming from the point, you can see Lindbergh just standing his ground, making that save. But that's the key to great goaltending, Dan. When you're down 1-0 and you make one big save after another, that gives your club the opportunity to be able to come back. And again, as you had indicated, maybe could have been 2 or 3-0 had Lindbergh not made those saves.
Puck is shot in by Philadelphia. Coffey back to get it. Can't get away from Craven. Drops it to number 22, Charlie Huddy. Huddy just dumping it in. Ron Sutter trying to clear it. It comes right to Lindbergh, who gives it to Crossman. Now back to Sutter. And Sutter's able to clear it out for Philadelphia. A minute left in Marsh's penalty. Here's Messier. Dropping one to Gretzky. Gretzky to Coffey. Over to Kevin Lowe. Shooting. Oh, big save. Lindbergh there. And right back comes Croc. And a penalty coming up against Edmonton. Drop pass to Howe. Broken up by Coffey. And now the delayed penalty against the Oilers will be called. And interference call signals referee Kerry Fraser. We'll be right back on USA Sports.
Interference as he sits in the penalty box. 13:35 is the time. And interference on Pelle Lindbergh. Lindbergh comes up with one good save after another.
In this period, Gary, Edmonton's had 10 shots on goal. Philadelphia only 3. But the Flyers have scored on one of those to tie it. Well, that just emphasizes even more how key the play of Lindbergh has been in this period, which has this game tied at 1 apiece. Messier against Ron Sutter. Each team a man short because Marsh was already in there for Philadelphia. He has 36 seconds left in his penalty. And the Oilers get it to Lowe, stolen by Poulin. Big save, Pure on Ron Sutter. And now it's Grant Pure's moment in the sun. Here the Oilers breaking away, a lead pass to Gretzky. His shot blocked by Eriksson, who went down in front of it. Edmonton dropping it to Lowe. Kevin Lowe to Gretzky. Gretzky to Curry. Curry with a shot well wide of the net. Gretzky and Howe, or Dvorak it is, battled in the corner. Gretzky kicking it loose. Now Marsh is back on. Philadelphia with a power play as Ron Sutter has the puck. Anderson is still off for Edmonton. Here's Dvorak. Dvorak a little hesitant. Now giving it to Sinisalo, who's back out there. Here's Hunter for Edmonton. Drop pass back. Gary Curry shooting, and he just missed there. Here's Vogelin at the point. Sinisalo blocked that shot. Now Hunter into the corner. And Hunter fell right on top of the puck. And there's Ilka Sinisalo. We had word that he'd left the Spectrum to go for x-rays. If he did, he's back. And there you see him.
Well, Sinisalo shows an awful lot. Him coming right back out. Ilka Sinisalo coming back into this game. And of course, the Philadelphia Flyers really need Ilka Sinisalo in this lineup.
That was quite a save Pure made on Ron Sutter.
Grant Pure just not want to be, he doesn't want to be outdone at the other end by Pelle Lindbergh. I don't know, Dan, has any team ever, you've seen hockey for a number of years in the NHL, has any team ever won a Stanley Cup that didn't have great goaltending? I just think back in the last decade or so, when you look at the Philadelphia Flyers and Bernie Perrant and the Montreal Canadiens and Ken Dryden and the New York Islanders and Billy Smith, you've got to have great goaltending to win a Stanley Cup.
It's like having great pitching in the World Series. That's the similarity. Here is Todd Bergen with a shot. Pure stops that. Edmonton quickly clear the zone. Crossman for Philadelphia, going back 25 seconds left in the Anderson penalty. Lead pass to Todd Bergen, number 19. Bergen checked. Huddy couldn't clear it out, but Coffey does. Or actually, it was Hunter that did. And Crossman goes back to get it and gives it to Mark Howe. Howe head-manning it to Sinisalo. Upended by Coffey. Howe to Sinisalo. Centered to Bergen. Shot right on and pure. A juggling save, and then he held on.
And there were 3 Philadelphia Flyers that were waiting for Fuhr to lose that puck. Mark Howe was right in on top. Ilka Sinisalo was on his way. Let's watch. You can see that shot coming, and watch Fuhr. He makes the save. It bounces up, but he catches it. Now here come the Philadelphia Flyers. Mark Howe, he was right in on top of Fuhr very quickly.
4:24 left in the second period. Still a 1-1 game.
Grant Fuhr just cleaning away some of that snow in his crease, and Fuhr just with tremendous reflexes. Let's watch Sinisalo, and as he was going one-on-one on Paul Coffey and got tripped up there, Sinisalo, who we had been told earlier had a bad wrist and was being x-rayed at the hospital. Whether or not that report was true, and as you've mentioned a couple of times, very difficult to get reports from the Philadelphia Flyers. They are very, very secretive about their potential injuries or injuries.
Puck is cleared into the center ice area by Edmonton. The team's back at full strength now. Here's Krushelnyski stealing one into Lindstrom, but Patterson cleared it away for Philadelphia. Vogelin trying to shoot it back in. McClellan is checked by Marsh, and the puck bouncing around in the center ice area. Krushelnyski flipping it in. Marsh is there. He's checked on the play. Marsh taken out. Here's Krushelnyski. Centered. They score! From the slot, Willie Lindstrom. And Edmonton has the lead once again.
Willie Lindstrom has really had a good playoff. He has been playing very consistently, and let's watch here as the Edmonton Oilers do some pretty good forechecking. That was Kevin McClellan that really forced the play initially, and then Krushelnyski passing that puck right out to Willie Lindstrom. He wasted no time. He just snapped that puck quickly, put it behind Lindbergh. Let's watch again. That's Kevin McClellan off to the left of your screen that had went in and forechecked Brad Marsh. Marsh almost got back in time to back up Pelle Lindbergh. Playing goal. Dvorak was watching the puck there, and 2 Philadelphia Flyers went for Krushelnyski, but could not get to him in time before he passed that puck out in the slot to Lindstrom.
Lindstrom's 4th goal of the playoffs, and it gives Edmonton a 2-1 lead. Bouncing puck to Huddy, now to Yari Curry. Ahead to Gretzky, but Howe breaks it up. Now Coffey carrying in. Centered to Gretzky, and a bouncing puck went off his stick up into the crowd. The scoring play, Lindstrom, his 4th of the playoffs. Krushelnyski and McClellan the assists. 16:08 the time, and Edmonton has a 2-1 lead.
You notice when that pass came out to Gretzky, it was a good hard pass, but he just could not quite control it, and that puck was doing some pretty good bouncing out there. Yari Curry and Wayne Gretzky moved that puck around to each other so well, and on this ice surface, been plenty of complaints the last couple of days. Funny thing, Keith Allen apparently had said, I don't know what Glenn Sather is complaining about in regards to the ice. I've been complaining about this ice here at the Spectrum for a number of years. They have had a problem. They have not overlooked it. They have been trying to correct that problem. It just hasn't worked.
Here's Gretzky in forechecking, but Crossman breaks loose and cleared it. Coffey knocking that down. Coffey to take it into Gretzky, now to Curry. Drop pass back. Saved by Lindbergh on Charlie Huddy. Howe clearing it to Derek Smith. Huddy made a good play to hold it in. Now a centering pass intercepted by Crossman. And back come the Flyers. Crossman to Smith. He flips it in. Fuhr cleared it. Ron Sutter knocking that down. Centered. Oh, and just wide. Now Smith a shot. Wide of the net. The first one hit Tocchet and it deflected just wide. Coffey behind the goal. Gets the puck loose, and the Oilers' Huddy gives it to Tikkanen, who tried to clear it in. Back comes Marsh for the Flyers to Kerr. And the play is offside at the Edmonton blue line as you look at the Flyers' captain, Dave Poulin.
I'll talk about a player that is playing hurt. Dave Poulin has got a bad knee. He has got bad ribs, but yet he continues to play. He went off the ice in game number 1 and was in the dressing room for a while. We had been told that it was once again some rib problem that was affecting Dave Poulin, but yet Mike Keenan said he was off getting his skates sharpened. So you're not quite sure who to believe in these situations, and of course the Flyers would like to keep their injury secret for a lot of good reasons.
Messier's quick wrist shot. Good stick save there by Lindbergh, and now Hospodar gets it to Prop at center to Poulin, ahead to Marsh. Marsh taken out on the play at the Edmonton line, and then the puck is held there, and we'll get a face-off. 2:09 left in the second period. Tim Kerr, who has scored the only Philadelphia goal, and who had 54 of them over the regular season.
Well, Dan, as you look at Tim Kerr, a player that we have talked about and his injuries, some of the reasons why teams don't really like to disclose their injuries, especially in the Stanley Cup Finals, is the fact that, look, this is a man's game. They're being paid an awful lot of money out there, and when a player has a bad shoulder or a bad knee, it is not unlike the other team to try and test that shoulder out just by giving him a little extra hit. Nobody is trying to hurt another player, but there's nothing wrong at playing the body, and especially playing it on a bad shoulder.
Now we're going to have some penalties here as Dvorak and Fogelin got their sticks up, and Mabel both go to the penalty box. Lee Fogelin, by the way, the most experienced of all the players involved in this series. This is his 97th Stanley Cup playoff game tonight.
Well, when you look at the Edmonton Oilers, of course, with Fogelin with that much experience, and all the Edmonton Oilers with Stanley Cup experience over the course of the last couple of years, the Philadelphia Flyers a different story. Only Brian Propp has ever been to the Stanley Cup Finals, and that was in his rookie season. So the Philadelphia Flyers, not much experience in that department for most of their players, even though the Flyers have had a very successful past decade.
Minor penalties, high sticking to Dvorak, cross-checking to Fogelin. 17:58 the time. Each team a man short again. Edmonton leading 2-1 as Krushelnyski cleared it out. This is Thomas Eriksson, number 27, to Tim Kerr. He tries to flip it in, and racing back to get it is Don Jackson. Over to Lowe. Back to Jackson for Edmonton. Now to Lowe again. And it's cleared into the center ice area and picked up by Messier. Messier fires that puck in. Mark Howe is back to get it. And Howe headmanning it to Poulin. Now to Howe. Howe leaving it for Kerr. Gary Curry checked him, and here comes Gretzky. Gretzky. Jack Curry picks it up. Tried to center, but Poulin was there to intercept. And then Charlie Huddy pulls down Kerr, and we'll get another penalty here against Huddy of Edmonton.
Only 1 minute and 7 seconds remaining in this second period, and Charlie Huddy will be on his way to the penalty box. The Edmonton Oilers, just previous to Huddy being penalized, had really a pretty good chance to score. At least it had potential, but a good defensive play by the Philadelphia Flyers. And let's take a look at this play here. Wayne Gretzky having that puck taken away from him by number 27 for the Flyers, Thomas Eriksson, and then you could see in the middle of your screen right there, Charlie Huddy dumping big Tim Kerr right at the blue line. So Huddy goes to the penalty box for tripping. Charlie Huddy, 2 minutes for tripping. 18:53 is the time.
And it's going to give Philadelphia a 4-against-3 power play. The Flyers are 1 man short. Edmonton will be 2. 1 minute and 7 seconds remaining here in period number 2. Tim Kerr and Sinisalo will be the forwards for the Flyers. Crossman and Howe, the point men. Messier will be the only Edmonton forward. Coffey and Lowe on defense. Kerr gets the draw to Howe. Over to Crossman. Now to Mark Howe. To Crossman. We're in the final minute of the second period. To Howe again. To Crossman. Shooting. That deflects just wide. Sinisalo racing over, but Coffey beat him to it and clears it out of there. Doug Crossman going back again. Crossman to Sinisalo. Into Mark Howe. He's checked, and or at least Curry clears it away. And the Flyers have to go back with Crossman. 27 seconds left in the period. Crossman to Sinisalo. Into the zone. Lowe is there to clear it. Howe knocked it down. Centered. Oh, and it hopped over Sinisalo's stick. Sinisalo to Crossman. A drive. Stick save pure. And another penalty coming up here to Edmonton. A cross-checking call this is going to be. And it's going to mean this penalty will have to be delayed because the Oilers are already 2 men short. Or hold on, is the penalty against Kerr?
Well,
I think it is.
Yeah, the penalty is going to number 12, Tim Kerr. Let's watch and see whether or not we can see where Kerr gets that cross-checking penalty. Right there, I guess, as he pushes down Kevin Lowe, but I don't know how hard Kerr pushed Lowe down. Nevertheless, Tim Kerr right in his usual position, trying to screen goaltender Grant Fuhr. Goes to the penalty box. 2 minutes for cross-checking was the call. 19:51 is the time.
So each team will be 2 men short here. Edmonton leading 2-1. Meanwhile, the Oiler player Fogelin will be back on with Dvorak in 7 seconds time. And then each team will be just 1 man short. Ready for a face-off at the Edmonton blue line. Mark Messier against Ron Sutter. Kevin Lowe coming up with the puck for Edmonton. Fires it down the ice, a bouncer. That gave Lindbergh problems, and there's the buzzer to end the period. Shots on goal in the second period. Edmonton 13, Philadelphia 8 in the game. 21 for the Oilers, 14 for Philadelphia. Coming up in our intermission, Jari Kurri, number 17 of the Oilers, and the man who scored 18 goals this year.
Final switches to Edmonton, and we will be there on USA at the Northlands Coliseum as the Flyers visit the Oilers. Join us for the face-off of Game 3 at 8 p.m. Eastern Time Saturday. Right here at the Spectrum in Philadelphia, we've watched 2 periods of play in Game 2 of the 1985 Stanley Cup Final between the Philadelphia Flyers and the Edmonton Oilers. Now, over the past few years on USA, we have marveled at the Edmonton Oilers and how strong they can be, and especially at those great technical skills of Jari Kurri. But until now, we have been unable to corral Jari into our studio for an interview, but here he is. Jari, the people who follow hockey, people who write and announce for hockey, so want you to have more recognition than you have received so far. Yet knowing that you don't like interviews and you shy away from all the attention, I guess that's okay with you.
Yeah, I felt that way pretty comfortable, but now this year, I've been doing this a lot more than last year, so, this year I get a lot of recognition, that way, it's still something new for me, I have to learn a lot of things to do this thing, so, but hopefully I can do that.
Now that the recognition is higher than it was last year, have you found that you enjoy it?
Well, I started to enjoy, I'm not maybe that nervous anymore, and maybe more relaxed.
You have become a big part of the city of Edmonton. I've seen your face up on billboards in the town, and I guess you're pretty much a celebrity there.
Well, something, I don't want to do those things too much during the season, but, if I get a chance to do something like that, I would like to do that.
Now, the people who run hockey in your home country of Finland, they've seen your success. They know that hockey fans in North America know you as a fabulously talented player. Have they put any pressure on you to return home to play in Finland?
Well, especially summer times, when I went back, especially last summer, we won the Stanley Cup, people, just asking me how was that feeling was, I had a lot of go over the things and media people to explain what was the feeling, but, especially when I go back to Finland, I want to do a lot to relax, so I don't want to, be busy all the summer, so that way, try to keep away from one.
Now, one of the specific things that we've marveled at in watching the Edmonton Oilers is the chemistry between you and Wayne Gretzky. Are you great friends off the ice? Has that helped the chemistry between you two develop on the ice?
Well, we're pretty good friends, close. We talk about a lot of, hockey too, but, all the team are pretty close, We're not any small group. We are a big group together, That's helping be a good team.
After Game 1, were you shocked at all by what Philadelphia was able to do? You've seen this, your team, the Oilers, explode for 11 goals in a game.
Well, I was kind of surprised at their forechecking. They were all over the ice, when we get by one guy was the other Philadelphia guy right away. So, I think so. Basically, we had to work harder and smarter.
Jari, thanks very much. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Jari Kurri of the Edmonton Oilers has been our guest in the teams during the playoffs, the Montreal Canadiens, who no longer are known as the Flying Frenchmen. Of course, that's until you jog the memory of players like Réjean Houle.
Yeah, 1971 Boston game number 2 in quarterfinal. We're losing 5-1 at that time, and we finally won the game 7-5. It's third period there we scored a goal at the end of the second period, 5-2. Then we came back very strong in third period to win that game. And I could see the face of Bobby Orr and Phil Spruce. They were very much upset about that series, about that game. That was my first cup. Yeah, I had the privilege to play with Jean Béliveau that year, Henri Richard, and all those great hockey players who were with Montreal Canadiens. I was starting, and I was so glad to play with the best organization of the world, Montreal Canadiens hockey team. I think a lot of things make the Canadiens a great team. I think all the organization are very professional. The players play to win for the CH. They play as a team. They don't just think about themselves as an individual. They all play together, and what they want very badly all the time is keep the respect of everybody regarding the Montreal Canadiens hockey team, because they won before a lot of Stanley Cup. The one who come around after, they want to be part of the team and be able to say to the older guy and to the younger guy, we wanted to the Stanley Cup. So that's the big reason, I think.
Another edition of Stanley Cup Reflections from someone who knows what it's like to win the Stanley Cup, Réjean Houle of the Montreal Canadiens.
The Philadelphia Flyers won. The scoring summary of the second period: Tim Kerr tied the game at 1-1 at 10:22, but Willie Lindstrom gave Edmonton the lead again at 16:08. Shots on goal in the period favored Edmonton by a margin of 14-8. Well, Gary Green, I guess it's safe to say this is anybody's hockey game, and it really is.
Dan, both clubs are playing exceptionally well out there tonight. There's no question the fact that the Edmonton Oilers are a much different hockey team than they were in Game 1. They're playing much more aggressively as far as their forechecking goes, but they are showing the Philadelphia Flyers that they can play some pretty good close checking hockey themselves back in their own end zone. The Philadelphia Flyers, though, I mean, the way they came at the Oilers a couple of times, 3 or 4 times, I should say, in that second period, it's not beyond their doings in this third period to come back and win this hockey game either.
Meanwhile, I thought when Edmonton had a 1-0 lead, they really could have put the Flyers away, but Lindbergh held the Flyers in.
He really has been pretty miraculous out there in some of those saves, and no question the fact, Wayne Gretzky will attest to that he could have well scored a couple of times out there, but Pelle Lindbergh keeps coming up with a big save. And as I had alluded to during that second period of play, the key to winning hockey games really is when you're down 1-0, and when your goaltender can come up with the saves that Lindbergh did in that first and second period, then that really gives your team the confidence that yes, they can come back and tie this hockey game up. They did that.
Let's go to our studio for Al Trudwig and Mike Liut now.
All right, Dan, down here we'll be chatting about the goals that were scored in that period. Again, I think Mike Pelle Lindbergh might have to feel a little slighted. Both Edmonton goals were just a little tainted, not the kind of goals that the Oilers score usually.
Well, there were mistakes by Philadelphia, 2 mental mistakes, and that's what you want to avoid in a championship round. The mental mistakes are the ones that are going to hurt you.
I think what Gary was saying about both teams playing well, just Edmonton raising the level of their play from Game 1, that pretty well sums up what's happening.
Absolutely. Edmonton has played just that much better, and it's not that Philadelphia hasn't played well. It's just been a couple of mistakes that they've made that's created the deficit.
Okay, the red light went on twice in that second period. Let's show you the first time. They lit the lamp here at the Spectrum in Philadelphia. The home fans enjoying this one.
Well, here we go with Poole, and he just makes a great play. And this is what I have come to know, unfortunately, about Tim Kerr. When he gets the puck in that position, he's a devastating goal scorer. He's got the strength and the ability to shoot the puck.
Now, later on, we knew this was trouble immediately. Philadelphia was having trouble clearing this puck, a lot of trouble.
Well, here, Dvorak doesn't really know exactly where to go, and he hesitates, and then he gets he gravitates to the puck, and in doing that, he gets in the way of the other Philadelphia player coming in, and they leave the front of the net wide open, which created the opportunity for Edmonton.
And here's the story of the Edmonton Oilers. You have Gretzky, you have Curry, you have Paul Coffey, you have Mark Messier, and who's the leading goal scorer in the Stanley Cup Championship? Willie Lindstrom. He's got 2 of the 3 goals. How can you figure that?
Well, it always works that way in the championship series. It's somebody who's a little obscure in the lineup who comes up and scores those big goals and winds up winning the Conn Smythe Trophy.
Mike, what do you think about this third period now?
I just have to reiterate what Dan and Gary talked about. It's anybody's game at this point. I think that Edmonton certainly has taken control of the game again, but Philadelphia has the ability and the confidence to score goals and to score enough to win in the third period.
Now the Flyers again have been a very important game defensively for them. We're going to show you a very critical play down the stretch of the second period with only a few seconds left. Wayne Gretzky's charging on the right wing, and I mean charging, but what a play there by Thomas Eriksson.
Certainly Thomas Eriksson makes the play of the game right there, because as it stands, Wayne Gretzky getting a chance at the net, it could be a goal, certainly, and then the play here is that Tim Kerr draws the penalty, and it's almost a two-goal swing there. Unfortunately for the Flyers, they didn't capitalize.
Now that's a throwback to Game 1, where we spoke an awful lot about the pressure and the speed that the Flyers are able to create situations where the Oilers panic a little bit. And right there, Charlie Huddy seemed like he may have panicked a bit.
Well, yeah, certainly. He certainly did. And I think that he took down Tim Kerr he didn't need to.
All right, one more period to go in this Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Championship. Back to Gary and Dan upstairs.
Team will be a man short. Tim Kerr with 1:51 left in his penalty. Charlie Huddy with 53 seconds left in his. We've had a lot of this tonight, Gary, with 4 against 4.
Well, as I had kind of gotten surprised by, Dan, the fact that the Philadelphia Flyers really on the 4-on-4 situations have, I think, other than that one goal that the Edmonton Oilers were able to score, they've actually outplayed Edmonton on the 4-on-4 chances.
Here we go with the Oilers immediately on the attack, and Anderson's backhander is turned aside. Now Dvorak able to clear the zone, and Philadelphia's Dave Poulin giving it back to Dvorak. He tried to center, but Messier takes over for Edmonton. To Anderson. And Glenn Anderson breaks out. Giving it to Messier. Messier trying to squeeze through the defense. Couldn't quite do it. And Brad Marsh takes over for Philadelphia. To Dvorak. He headmans it to Dave Poulin. Poulin clearing in. Dvorak. Now centered. Propp was open, but the pass was behind him. Gary Curry controlling for the Oilers. Here he comes with Gretzky, and Curry's shot goes off Marsh's stick up into the crowd.
Well, one thing when Jari Kurri is out there and he is going down that right wing side against Brad Marsh, I would think that maybe Kurri would test Brad Marsh a little bit more than he's done. Kurri has tended to shoot from a fair distance out, and I think that maybe Kurri could beat Brad Marsh wide if he really turned on those good jets that he does possess. Brad Marsh, though, if he takes you into the boards, he'll make you hurt, because he's a big man that can use those big husky shoulders of his and really lay them into you if he gets a chance to catch you.
They talk here in Philadelphia about Marsh's poor skating. Bobby Clark says the only thing bigger than Brad Marsh's feet is his heart, and that explains Brad Marsh to a T.
No question, he really makes up for that little bit of slowness that he does have on foot.
Here's Kurri holding it in for Edmonton. Over to Coffey. Crossman intercepting that. Crossman now able to clear one. Knocked down by Edmonton. Huddy behind the net for Gretzky. Back to Charlie Huddy. Now broken up, and Craven raced after a loose puck, but Buer will get to it first. He winds it around to Coffey. Coffey is checked, but Buer is there to cover up again and leaves it for Paul Coffey. Little outlet pass to Huddy. He dumps it in. Lindbergh leaving it there, then decided to clear it. Tikkanen dropping it to Kurri. Kurri over to Coffey. Into Tikkanen. Now to Gretzky. Mark Howe tying him up. Here's Jari Kurri. To Coffey. Edmonton on a power play. Craven breaks it up. Held in. Now Kerr is back on. Here's Gretzky centering. Crossman broke it up. Gretzky drops it back, but it comes outside the line. The teams are now back at full strength. Edmonton clearing in, but Crossman intercepts to Sinisalo. Broken up at center ice, and Sinisalo will try again for Philadelphia. Ilka Sinisalo into Peter Zezel. He's checked. Gretzky gets it for the Oilers. Here he and Kurri come. A 2-on-2 Edmonton break. But Gretzky will just dump it in and head to the bench on a line change. And Dvorak has it for Philadelphia. Ahead to Zezel. Zezel upended on the play. Back comes Lee Fogelin. Trying to clear one in. Willie Lindstrom is there. To Kevin McClelland in the corner. Philadelphia's Erickson now controlling the puck. Winding it around. And it comes to center ice where Fogelin controls for the Oilers. Fogelin dumping it in, and it's called on an offside at the Philadelphia blue line. Coast-to-coast coverage of the Stanley at the Spectrum, 17,191 as the Oilers shoot it in. Dvorak is back to get it for Philadelphia. He's checked now. Hunter centering one, but Erickson is there to intercept. And back he comes. Duell checked as he got to center. Hunter trying to give it to McClelland. And now the Flyers just clear it back to center. The checking is extremely close as this third period begins. Edmonton stealing one. Here's Lindstrom shooting one wide. And it bounces all the way to the Edmonton end.
Well, I've been a little surprised at the way that in this third period, the Edmonton Oilers have come out and done a fair amount of dumping and chasing. They're just firing that puck in the Philadelphia corners and then hustling in after it.
They shoot it in again. Brad Marsh trying to clear it. Gets some help on the play from Todd Bergen. Now Marsh has to go back the other way. And Marsh moves away from Messier and trying to set up Bergen. Huddy intercepting that. Here's Anderson for Edmonton. Checked by Dave Poulin. Poulin closely checked, but feeding one ahead for Craven. Quick shot and a stick save by Fuhr. The Flyers center. Fuhr is there again to grab it and hold it.
Craven really let go with a good hard wrist shot. Grant Fuhr just nabbed that one very quickly. Craven, who has shown Philadelphia fans a lot of skills, such as this one, he let go with that puck, and really Grant Fuhr had to come up with a pretty quick save. You can see that puck doing an awful lot of bouncing out there, and Grant Fuhr wasn't going to take any chances. He was just going to jump on it and take the face-off deep in the Oilers' end zone.
Flyers have gone tonight more with 6 defensemen than I've seen them in recent games. Dvorak and Erickson have played quite a bit.
You think that's a signal, Dan, that maybe Mike Keenan feels that this is going to be a long series, and the fact that going with 4 defensemen may be fine right now at the early part, but in the long run, you've got to go with at least 5 or 6 defensemen, and some teams have even in the past dressed that 7th defenseman, realizing how important the strength of your defensemen are in the course of a long series.
Here's Poulin against Messier. Flyers get it, and a quick shot there. Turned aside as it was let go by Craven. Puck now back into the Flyers zone. Krushelnyski digging in. Prop has him tied up. Dave Poulin comes up with the puck. And Poulin flipped it to center ice. Huddy knocking it down. Messier shoots it right back in. Here's Erickson for Philadelphia. Ahead to Craven. Number 32, Craven. Winds up, last one off the glass. Comes to Erickson at the point. Shooting, he's wide by 2 or 3 feet. And now the Oilers clear it. But Craven hustles back to get it for Philadelphia. Murray Craven to Ron Sutter. Sutter flips it in. Fuhr will clear it. And the Oilers try and shoot it back out. Sutter held it in. Now Coffey. Quick outlet pass for Gretzky. Gretzky poking it to the Oiler line, and Dvorak gives it to Crossman. Crossman trying to clear it in. Bouncing puck. There's Pocket pulled down by Fogelin on the play. Vance Huller, they thought a penalty should have been called there. Centering pass. Pocket trying to center one. In comes Fogelin. Now Gretzky getting it loose. Centered it to Jari Kurri. And the Oilers carry out. Kurri dropping it to Tikkanen. Here's the rookie Tikkanen taken out by Crossman. And Howe gets the puck. Mark Howe firing it up the middle. It went off Gretzky. Fuhr plays it and sets it up for Kevin Lowe. Over onto the boards. Here's Tikkanen with a pass to Huddy. Huddy crosses center and just jumps it in. The Flyers, who trail 2-1, come right back out. Howe to Peter Zezel. Fuhr trying to fire it out to Lindstrom, does. And Lindstrom clears to McClelland. Kevin McClelland getting it to Paul Coffey. Coffey centered, oh, and Lindstrom was checked before he could get his stick on it. And then it's shot to center ice. Here's Coffey trying to clear it in. Marsh breaks that up and gives it to Joe Patterson. He's checked, but Hospodar for Philadelphia into Zezel. And it's cleared back out. Then Hospodar fell down, and here's a break for Hunter. Hunter against Marsh, a 2-on-1. Now a 3-on-1. McClellan stopped by Lindbergh. From the slot, Kevin McClellan robbed by Pelle Lindbergh. As the Flyers stop the 3-on-1 Edmonton break. It's the place to stay for live Stanley Cup coverage, USA.
Can you believe it? JT with an $18 million contract?
Sure is a long way from the playground.
Think he still drinks Strohs?
Yeah.
Hey, guys.
JT, Mr. Millionaire.
Richard. Timothy.
Oh, man. This is all right.
Glad he didn't forget his friends.
Or his Strohs. Where is the Strohs?
Out by the pool.
The pool?
Strohs and Stroh Lights.
Now that's a cooler.
Fire brewed for smoother taste.
Their assists don't wind up on the stat sheet, but the wives of the Philadelphia Flyers have their own room where they can sit and sweat it out here in the Stanley Cup final. Inside, just a couple watching the game here tonight, and they're not feeling too good about the scoreboard right now.
Here's Dvorak for Philadelphia, giving one to Brian Propp. Messier breaks that up, but now Philadelphia try and break up. Messier is back for the Oilers, over to Kevin Lowe. Lowe dumping it in. Anderson knocked off the puck by Dvorak. Anderson gets it again, and as he flipped it up into the crowd.
Dan, I had mentioned the fact that the Edmonton Oilers were doing a lot of dumping and chasing. That's a good reading of Mike Keenan and Philadelphia Flyers game plan, because they are a close checking hockey club that have bottled up the Edmonton Oilers in game number 1 anyway at the blue line. And right now in this third period, when the Oilers have the lead, they're very comfortable at not trying to carry that puck in over the blue. And with the Philadelphia Flyers kind of lined up at it, they're just dumping the puck in the corner and then trying to beat them to the puck. And they've got some good speed in order to try and do that.
Bergen, Carson, and Craven, the Flyer line. Edmonton with Messier, Anderson, and Krushelnyski. Here's Todd Bergen for the Flyers. Fires it in. You're clearing it. Now it comes to Krushelnyski, and here come the Oilers right back the other way. Anderson getting it ahead to Messier. Messier trying to go around Dvorak. Centered one, that's intercepted and cleared out by Craven. Here's Lowe shooting it in. Going back is Dvorak. And the Flyers clear one to Derek Smith. Picked up in the center ice area. Now here's Gretzky. Gretzky shoots one. Lindbergh took that in the midsection and then held it. For our local stations and systems, we'll pause. Neither team giving an inch or in the Flyers. The puck shot down the ice. Huddy is back to get it. Now the Oilers, led by Huddy, trying to work it out. Got it near the line. Tikkanen and checked, and here's Ron Sutter holding it in, and it bounces up into the crowd.
Well, this young player, Esa Tikkanen, just continues to get the ice time out there. And Dan, he hasn't looked out of place the least bit out there tonight. I've watched him in key situations, especially along that left wing board side in his own end zone. And this man knows what to do. He made sure a couple of times he sacrificed, took the check in order to make sure that puck got out of their end zone and just up in the neutral ice out of danger. So he looks like he's got a lot of smarts out there, and maybe another good find of the director of player personnel for the Edmonton Oilers, Barry Fraser. Super scout, they call Barry Fraser.
Stocky guy is Tikkanen. Here's a puck cleared quickly out by the Oilers. I was mentioning Tikkanen being a sturdily built young man. 5'11", 185 pounds. And as Mike Liut said prior to the game, all the Oilers really need is another goal scorer.
Really? Well, a man that we haven't talked a great deal about, and probably we should have. I'm guilty of that, Dan, because this man, Mark Howe, has really played extremely well in playoffs. He's been comparative from the Philadelphia standpoint as to what Paul Coffey has done for the Edmonton Oilers. He has really controlled the play. He's a fine rushing defenseman, and we talk about all the young players for the Philadelphia Flyers. Mark Howe adds the stability and experience back in that blue line. Excellent wrist shot and great speed.
He's controlled most of the games for the Flyers through the playoffs that I've seen. Does it rather unspectacularly, but very steadily. Here's Ron Sutter and Messier on a face-off. And now it's Huddy coming up with the puck. Huddy with a lead pass to Tikkanen. That's called back on a two-line offside. And the face-off will come to inside the Edmonton blue line. Interesting matchup here. We notice Sutter, who's been used mainly against Gretzky, is now on the ice against Messier.
Well, and Tikkanen continues to stay out on the ice. Tikkanen, it's pretty confusing, Dan. It may get that way anyway. The way that he plays, so much like Jari Kurri and Wayne Gretzky, there he was way up at the Philadelphia Flyers blue line looking for one of those sneak plays, the one that you see Jari Kurri and especially Wayne Gretzky utilize so often.
Here's Howe trying to set up Tocchet. Coffey cleared it out, shot back in by Crossman, and it's offside at the Edmonton blue line. Neither of these teams show much offensive power at this point. They're sticking to their defensive knitting.
Well, they are really watching each other closely out there, and Rick Tocchet is no exception. Talking about some of the young players, Derek Smith, Rick Tocchet, and Peter Zezel, all from the Toronto area, grew up practically in the same neighborhood, and the three players knew each other before coming to the Philadelphia Flyers, and all three made the hockey club this year, and all three have done a pretty darn good job at getting this Philadelphia Flyers and giving them some added depth that they perhaps didn't have before. Well, they've got it now.
Puck shot in. Flyers, Kerr knocked down by Lindstrom on the far side. Now McClellan getting his stick up with one of the Flyers.
We can only guess that it might be Hospodar, is it? Just the way that he went at it.
Number 17, Hospodar.
I think Kevin McClellan feels that he owes Hospodar one.
The score, Edmonton 2, Philadelphia 1. 11 minutes remaining in regulation time. We'll be right back.
For him to pick up a microphone and do one of his routines in the stands with the fans, but I guess that wasn't Al Troutwig. Talking about downstairs where Al Troutwig is, apparently Dr. Randy Gregg, who is not on the bench, is now in a sweatsuit and has got a bandaged knee. And so Randy Gregg not performing any longer in this game tonight, and whether or not he will be able to continue in this series, we'll have to wait and see.
Philadelphia's Thomas Eriksson to Brian Propp as Propp crosses center. Shooting one in, back to get it is Lowe. Cleared it on the boards. Propp knocking it back of the net. Patterson getting it to Propp. Shot it right through the goal crease, and Fuhr got a piece of that and then kicked it away. Meanwhile, play had been called as the Edmonton goal was knocked loose once more.
I don't know whether maybe those nets were, Dan, fixed today, but they definitely have not come off anywhere as close to as many times as they did in game number 1. So maybe some stronger magnets were installed with the nets.
There's one of those Flyer rookies that Gary talked about, Peter Zezel, second-round draft choice in '83. That same year, they drafted Tocchet in the 6th round in '83. And the other player, Derek Smith, the 3rd round in '83. And they're all on this Philadelphia club, and all are playing very prominent roles. Edmonton from the faceoff, trying to clear it. Held in, and Eriksson shot caught by Fuhr. And he held on to it.
Fuhr getting down in that crouch position so that he would have a better sight line on that puck coming from the point. Let's watch right from the faceoff. That puck tried to be cleared by the Oilers, not successful, and here comes the shot, and that shot I think was deflected before it ended up getting to Fuhr. But Fuhr very alert on the shot and gloved it fairly easily.
10:37 left in regulation time. It is 2-1 in favor of Edmonton. Here's Messier on a face-off with Tim Kerr. The linesman is not happy with the way a couple of players were lined up, and Scampanello warns a couple of the Oilers. Well, they're going to toss both Messier and Kerr out of there now.
Well, everybody's going to get their chance here to take this face off. Dave Poulin in the face-off spot now.
And stepping in for Edmonton is Krushelnyski. Philadelphia get it. Kerr's shot wide. Here's Dvorak shooting one. That's blocked in front of the net and then cleared away by the Oilers' Huddy. Eriksson beating Kerr. Kerr can't get by Coffey. Now the Flyers dump it in, but Charlie Huddy is back to get it for Edmonton. And Huddy flipping it off the boards. And Thomas Eriksson goes back again for Philadelphia. Seems strange, Gary, to see these Oilers sticking to their defensive plan and protecting a 2-1 lead.
Well, they really are doing it, and they're doing it well, Dan. They're making sure those pucks get cleared in their own end zone, and their forwards are doing a good job along the boards.
Now Edmonton on offenses. Anderson tried to center one. Trying to get it to Gretzky. Now there's Gretzky from the side of the net. A quick swipe wide. And Crossman has it for Philadelphia. Trying to set up Ron Sutter. Now Fogelin intercepting that. Shoots it back in. Comes near the crease. Gretzky was cruising in there. Lindbergh saw that and took no chance as he just froze the puck.
Well, Wayne Gretzky, a heck of a baseball player as well, Dan, and he showed us some of his baseball talents here. Watch how Gretzky just picks this puck right out of the air and swats it. He made sure, I think that puck was just a little bit below shoulder level before he did take that whack at it, and it really caught Lindbergh by surprise. Lindbergh had to move very quickly on it. The report on Randy Gregg, by the way, is that he has a hyperextended left knee, but he does expect to play Saturday. He may have diagnosed himself.
He has the qualifications, does Randy Gregg. He's a full medical doctor, in case you hadn't heard us say that before. Speaking of baseball, Wayne Gretzky was at the Phillies game over at Veterans Stadium last night, which is right across the street from the Spectrum.
If there's a day off in a city in the NHL that has a baseball team at this time of the year, you'll find Wayne Gretzky there, because he just really loves the sport of baseball. In fact, had an opportunity to sign with a minor league team, we were told. He was that good of a ball player, but of course, I think he's a much better hockey player than he was a ball player.
Here's Mark Howe for Philadelphia, getting it in. Lowe is there to clear it. Now it comes to center, and Sutter working it to Smith. Smith to talk it into Smith. Broken up by Lowe. And Lowe feeds Gary Curry, but it bounced over his stick. Crossman now trying to clear it, and it's up over the glass and out of play again, and we're down to 9:02 left in the third period. For our local systems, we'll pause here. It's the Stanley Cup Championship on USA.
It's come down to two teams. They've proven themselves the two toughest, taking on all comers and gunning them down with deadly accurate shots and lightning-quick moves. The Philadelphia Flyers, the team with the best record in 1985, try to wrest the cup from the defending champion Edmonton Oilers. Get ready for a showdown. The Stanley Cup Championship Series.
The Edmonton Oilers 2, the Philadelphia Flyers 1. 9:02 left in the third period. The Flyers playing catch-up hockey here in this third period. Now here's Lindstrom moving in. He fanned on his shot. Krushelnyski trying to get the puck loose. Comes in front. Put it right through the goal crease. McClellan couldn't get to it. And Marsh cleared it for Philadelphia. Now Zezel moving in for Philadelphia. Too closely checked. And right back come Edmonton. Lindstrom to Krushelnyski. Centered one. Lindbergh got a stick on that to deflect it away. And Zezel feeds Brad Marsh, number 8. Marsh jumping it in. Zezel into the corner, but Huddy beats him to it. And Huddy sends McClelland out of his own zone. And Kevin McClelland just crosses center and shoots it in. This is Hospodar back for the Flyers. Cleared one, knocked down by Messier. Messier centered off Hunter's stick. And now Kerr for Philadelphia. Ahead to Craven, to Todd Bergen, who dumps it in. You're leaving it for Fogelin. The Oilers clear it right back out of there. And Eriksson has to hustle back. Messier tried to get it to Hunter, but here's Dvorak right back the other way. To Lindsey Carson, his shot blocked. To Kerr! And then Kerr was knocked down and shot it wide. And the Edmonton goal then came loose again. But a close chance there for Tim Kerr.
Well, I think once again that it was Kevin Lowe that ends up taking Grand Fuhrer right into the net, and the net along, well, with it, goes off of its post. But a close opportunity here for the Philadelphia Flyers. Number of times in the last few shifts, Dan, the Edmonton Oilers have just been throwing that puck in the vicinity of Pelle Lindbergh, hoping that one of their forwards is going to be able to break away. But continued good coverage by the Philadelphia Flyers, and players like Craven, Sinisalo in particular, that last shift really did an excellent job of taking their man all the way back to the post. And believe me, that is sheer discipline on the part of the players, and obviously the instructions by Coach Mike Keenan.
Here's Tim Kerr on a face-off against Messier. It's deep in the Edmonton zone. And on the face-off, Messier gets the draw. Messier has played a great deal in this period, not for defensive purposes. And now the Oilers' Krushelnyski clearing it all the way down the ice. This will be icing as Dvorak goes back to play the puck. I was talking about Messier and the amount of hockey he's played here in the third period. For defensive purposes, face-off purposes. Gary, I don't know if there is any player in the league who combines the element of speed and strength any more than Messier.
Couldn't agree with you more, Dan. He is really strong on the puck. He is smart when it comes to moving that puck in the right places. He's good defensively. He's extremely good offensively. And he'll see a lot of ice time in the remaining 7.5 minutes here.
Here is Propp going back to get it for Philadelphia. Shooting one back into the Edmonton zone. It went off low, so there'll be no icing. Kevin Lowe, number 4, firing it to Krushelnyski. Mike Krushelnyski flips it in. Digging in is Anderson for Edmonton. Knocked it into the corner, and Dave Poulin is there. He clears one, and Dvorak gives it to Propp. Propp for Philadelphia. Quick wrist shot. You're a stick save there, and here comes Hunter right back the other way for Edmonton. Drop pass for Gretzky, but Eriksson was there to clear it, and here's Kerr. His pass intercepted by Curry, and now Gretzky feeds Jari Kurri. Curry to Hunter. Off his stick, and Lindbergh cleared it away. Curry then knocked down by Eriksson in the corner, and we'll get a stoppage with 6:31 remaining. Live, Stanley Grinders stay with us at the conclusion of this game for our naming of the mobile player of the game. And by the way, as Mark Howe clears the puck out to Derek Smith in the Flyers attack, we'll remind you that the program Dragnet, normally seen at 10:30 Eastern time, will not be seen this evening because of the length of this Stanley Cup playoff game. There's Crossman for Philadelphia. Moves in, fanned on his shot. Crossman then taken out of the play. The Oilers quickly cleared, and here's Curry. Headmanning it for Gretzky. Gretzky down with Tikkanen and Curry, trying to get it to Curry, but it went off Howe's skate. And now Ron Sutter back for Philadelphia. And back checking was Jari Kurri to break up a dangerous play. Here comes Gretzky. Centered to Curry, couldn't get a stick on that pass, and Crossman has it for the Flyers. They head to Rick Tocchet. Tocchet poke checked, and a good play by Kevin Lowe, and here's McClelland for Edmonton. McClelland to Lindstrom, shoots up too high and up into the crowd. And on the last 2 or 3 Flyer rushes, we've seen more examples of Curry and Lowe and the outstanding defense that these Oilers are playing.
You think that the Edmonton Oilers want to show the Philadelphia Flyers that the fact that they can play good, strong defensive hockey as well? And I don't know if that would surprise Mike Keenan. He has done a pretty good job pre-scouting this team and has seen them over the course of the years, just even watching them on television, and the fact that, yes, the Edmonton Oilers can play good defensive hockey. Pelle Lindbergh has been outstanding in tonight's game. He has really kept this game from maybe being a 3 or 4 to 1 game right now in favor of the Oilers. He has played extremely well. The Oilers just backing up. They are playing sound defensive hockey. I'm surprised at the way that they have even thrown the puck down for icings in their own end zone just to slow the game down and to think defense first. That's really uncharacteristic of the Edmonton Oilers in most situations.
They've outshot Philadelphia 27-18. The Flyers, with just 18 shots on goal in game 1, they had over 40, so that shows you the difference. Here's Sinisalo getting one to Hospodar at center, who dumps it in. Vogelin rushed in the play by Craven. They fall down. Puck comes loose, and here's Sinicello. Trying to center Zezel. Tied up by Lowe. This is very tight checking hockey, as we've told you, and here you see it. Here are the Flyers centering one, but McClellan was there for Edmonton. And now the Oilers come to center with Krushelnyski. To Lindstrom, shoots off the goal post. Lindstrom on the short side, hit the post. Here's Marsh with a clearing pass, and that will be called back on a two-line offside. We're down to 4:40 left in regulation time. 2-1 Edmonton.
Been outstanding tonight. Willie Lindstrom has a goal. Wayne Gretzky has the other. Grant Fuhr's played well. Charlie Huddy has also played well for Edmonton. And for Philadelphia, Pelle Lindbergh, in spite of the fact that he's losing, has been very, very good, and that's for Philadelphia. One of those players will be with us at the end of the game to be named the mobile player of the game. Back to Dan and Gary.
And to the live action here in Philadelphia as the Flyers dump it in. Coffey is back for Edmonton. Trying to clear one, held in. Here's Kerr, a quick shot wide. Coffey then cleared the rebound as the Oilers almost got caught there. Here's Eriksson back for Philadelphia. Clearing it to Prop into Poulin, shoots up off the stick of Coffey and into the crowd, and we're down to 4:14 left in regulation time.
Well, at this point in time, in this close of a game, Dan, it really becomes a game of a bad bounce or one bad mistake, and things can turn very quickly. Right now, the Flyers, with that faceoff in Edmonton's end zone, have not been too successful at breaking through the Oiler defense, but then again, all it would take is one good shift, and this game could be soon tied up.
Philadelphia, losers of only 4 games all season on home ice and just 1 in the playoffs. Edmonton clearing it to center. Marsh has it stolen, and here's a chance for Glenn Anderson. But Marsh recovered and broke it up, and then Lindbergh was able to cover up. And then Lindbergh reacted to Glenn Anderson with the way he tried to poke at the puck.
Lindbergh had that puck underneath of his glove and didn't take too kindly to the fact that Glenn Anderson really tried to push that puck right in the net and his glove with it. But Lindbergh held his cool, realizing right now that it's much more important that these Philadelphia Flyers play even up and can see whether or not they can tie this hockey game up.
3 minutes and 59 seconds left in the third period. 2-1 Edmonton leading. Edmonton scored first in this game back in the first period, getting a goal from Gretzky. Tim Kerr tied it in the second, but then Willie Lindstrom gave Edmonton the lead again at 16:08 of the second period. Here's Anderson and Howe battling. Now Messier behind the net, centered it. Lindbergh had to come out and clear it. Puck still loose, and now Howe cleared it away for Philadelphia. To Lindsey Carson, to Dave Poulin. Anderson checked him, and right back comes Paul Coffey. Coffey couldn't get around Howe, now gets a quick shot away, and a stick save by Lindbergh. Here's Doug Crossman for the Flyers. Feeding one ahead to Lindsey Carson. Into the corner for Sutter, but Huddy is there. And Coffey battles Carson for the puck. Now it comes to Gretzky. And Gretzky feeds Curry on right wing. He flips it ahead to center, but it went up over the boards at the Edmonton bench, hit someone, and bounced back onto the playing surface, and that stops play.
You think Glenn Sather doesn't have a lot of confidence in young Esa Tikkanen? He's got him out there in the last 3 minutes of a hockey game. You can see the cut on Mark Howe's left cheek. But he is not worrying about that cut. He is just strictly staying on the ice right now with a face-off in Edmonton's end zone and hoping that Ron Sutter might be able to win this draw and send that puck back to him.
3:12 remaining. They're standing here at the Spectrum to spur on these Flyers. By the way, the Flyers have not lost to Edmonton in their last 9 meetings. 8 wins, no losses, and 1 tie in the last meetings between these teams. That's how dominant Philadelphia has been. Great fans here in Philadelphia, Gary.
They really are, Dan, and they have been always here for all of their sporting teams in town. And for these Flyers, well, they've loved them right back from the Broad Street Bully days, and they had a taste of the Stanley Cup twice there They would like Lord Stanley back in this city again.
The Flyers, another statistic, are 4-0 lifetime against Edmonton in the playoffs. So Edmonton has never won a playoff game against this Philadelphia team. Here's Howe going back to get it. Sliding it to center. Fogelin knocks that down, and here is Curry for Edmonton. Makes a little play. Got it to Kevin Lowe. Lowe then shot it to center. Gretzky had it for the moment, and here is Crossman for Philadelphia. Ahead to Sutter. He slides it in. Digging in after it. Derek Smith can't center. Now Tocchet gets it free. Rick Tocchet shot wide. Here's Crossman trying to flip it behind the net. Lowe knocked it down. Now Sutter gets it in front. Oh, and Smith was open but fanned on it, and then Curry took it away from him. Curry clearing it away. And Crossman goes back to give it to Derek Smith. Gary Curry there defensively again for Edmonton.
What a job he has done in this third period. Just one time after another, he has saved potential Philadelphia scoring opportunities. Good defensive player.
Dvorak for Philadelphia to Zezel. He tried to get away a quick pass to Sinicello. That's blocked. Now Todd Bergen shoots it in. Coffey shoots it right back out. And the Flyers with less than 2 minutes to play in regulation time shoot it in. Huddy clearing it to Hunter. Now McClellan battles Bergen for the puck. Got it outside the line. And the Flyers push it back in offside. And we're down to 1:45 left in the third period.
Well, the Oilers right now, the Oilers defense just throwing that puck around the boards and expecting their wingers to get that puck out of the dangerous zone and up into the neutral ice area. 1:45 remaining, and the Philadelphia Flyers will no doubt be thinking of pulling Pelle Lindbergh when it gets down somewhere in the next 20 to 45 seconds. So this game, folks, is a long ways from being over yet. 2-1 hockey game in favor of the Oilers, and lots can happen yet.
Here's Poulin for Philadelphia. Taken out by McClelland and Coffey. Poulin continues to battle. And then the puck winds up underneath Paul Coffey. A very different game tonight than game one, Gary. This has been a grinding type game from start to finish.
It really has been. I think the biggest difference is that Edmonton has really matched and really outmatched the Philadelphia Flyers with speed, which is something that they really did not do at all in game number one. And as we had stated just before the game, Glenn Sather has told his team in yesterday's practice the fact that they have to do what they do best, and that is skate and move the puck and shoot. They have not scored like I think that they are capable of scoring, but that has a lot to do with the play of Pelle Lindbergh in tonight's game.
Here's Kerr against Messier. The Oilers win the faceoff and control the puck. Coffey around to Krushelnyski. Crossman pinched in to hold it. Comes to Prop. He can't center. Now Ron Sutter gets it to Prop. Brian Prop, and now the goal is knocked loose. And I think the fans here in Philadelphia feel the Oilers did that intentionally, did they?
Oh, you really want to put me on the spot, don't you?
Why not?
Well, I will wait and pass judgment later, Dan. Right now, Ron Sutter, you can watch him. Well, let's watch and see whether or not the Oilers were guilty here. Paul Coffey shoving that net off the post. I don't think there was a Flyer in sight.
Taking a heck of a chance to do that, aren't you?
Well, you know, that's not all that different than back in the Washington-New York Islanders series when Paul Boudelier did about exactly the same thing. And that resulted in a Bobby Carpenter penalty shot. Ron Sutter.
I think what it started at is Sutter had pushed the net out forward and Coffey pushed it back. And I think that's what clipped Sutter and cut him around the mouth.
Gary Fraser was right there, so on the goal line, he had a good look at it, so we'll go with his judgment. He feels that Edmonton obviously not guilty of that.
Fraser has not called a penalty here in the third period. He's going to try and let these teams settle this one themselves.
And Dan, it was pretty obvious, wasn't it, early in this third period when there was about 3 possible infractions on one shift, and Gary Fraser just let them go, and he really has at least been consistent in this game and let these two teams play hockey.
1:18 to play. 2-1 Edmonton leading. Ron Sutter against Messier in the Edmonton zone. On the faceoff, Messier again gets the draw. Poking it to Kevin Lowe, and Lowe flips it to center with Howe back to get it. Howe to Crossman. Now stolen by the Oilers. Anderson getting it into the Flyers zone, but here's Ron Sutter to Crossman to Prop. We're in the final minute of regulation time. Prop shot it in. Kevin Lowe back to get it, and there goes Lindbergh to the bench. 6 attackers for Philadelphia. Poulin back to stop it. Now Messier is shot at the open net, but Howe is there to Doug Crossman. Now flipping it ahead, and it's shot in by Poulin. Racing in is Sutter. Now Prop comes in. He can't get it, and Edmonton pick up the puck, and here's Hunter with only Crossman back. Hunter shoots at the open net. He scores! And with 27 seconds left, Hunter gives Edmonton a 3-1 lead.
Well, Dave Hunter really played that very, very well. He just held on to possession of that puck instead of shooting it, and it may have been deflected here by Crossman. Instead, he just held on to it. He walked around Crossman, then he was able to get a good line on that empty net and shot it right in the middle. So watch one more time. Here's where Hunter could have shot. Instead, he elects to go over to his forehand side. He could get a much better wrist shot away, a much more accurate wrist shot away, and it worked.
Only Dave Hunter's second goal of the playoffs, but it gives the Oilers a 3-1 lead, and it looks like this series will be switching to Edmonton, tied at 1 apiece for games 3, 4, and 5. The next 3 will be played in Edmonton. The scoring play, Hunter from Anderson, 19:33 the time.
Hunter's a person that has been utilized an awful lot in this third period as well by Coach Glenn Sather, and that is because he is a real defensive specialist. He's done an excellent job of protecting this lead and really has just iced the cake now.
Philadelphia with just 22 seconds left, try and shoot it in and do. And back to pick it up is Coffey for Edmonton. To Mike Krushelnyski. He dumps it in. Lindbergh handles the long shot, clearing it off to the corner. Philadelphia with Hospodar trying to clear it out. Held in by Lindstrom. Lindstrom dropping it back. Krushelnyski too closely checked. Marsh gets the puck. The game is over, and the 1985 Stanley Cup Final is tied at 1 game apiece. The Oilers 3, Philadelphia 1. Shots on goal in the third period tonight. Edmonton 8, Philadelphia 4. In the game, the Oilers 30, the Flyers 18. A 3-1 Edmonton victory. The series is tied at 1 game apiece. Stay with us for our mobile player of the game. That's coming up next here on USA. The final score.
Very satisfying effort for you tonight, Wayne, considering that you had an experience that you didn't even remember the last time it happened in Game 1 when you were held shotless by Ron Sutter. What was different tonight?
Well, you know, in all fairness to Ron Sutter, he played a tremendous hockey game on Tuesday night. I had a little bit of an off night. Myself and Yeri didn't have our second jump, but we rebounded, came out, and you know, we decided that when we get over the blue line, we're just going to take some shots. We're not going to be fancy. They pick up the late men really well, and we're fortunate enough to win the hockey game.
Both goals tonight, at least the goals that mattered for Edmonton, Wayne, were not of the artistic variety, but certainly the opportunistic goals that the Oilers love. Watch it here and tell me how this happened.
Well, I went in with Paul, and he threw in front, and I got a backhand shot away, and Lindbergh made a toe save, and Markel lost the puck with Lindbergh, and I just came around the net, and it went off Mark's stick, and just barely went over the line, and I was very lucky on it.
What I said to you when you came into the studio was not to take away anything from the Oilers' defensive ability, but you outflyered the Flyers. You did everything that they did in Game 1 to them tonight.
Well, you know, everybody talks about our offense, and we got a pretty good offensive hockey club, but we won the Stanley Cup last year on discipline and playing good defensive hockey. We came in the series, and Flyers are a team that play an awful lot like the Islanders, and to beat them, the games are going to be 1- and 2-goal games, and you can't get frustrated, you can't be discouraged. You got to win the little battles along the boards and in your own zone. Tuesday night we didn't do that, and tonight we bared down and did just that, and we played an exceptional hockey game.
Now, Wayne Gretzky, of course, is a fan of many, many sports. He plays tennis, likes golf. Last night he visited Vet Stadium in Philadelphia, had a chat with Mike Schmidt, and maybe some of that carried over into tonight's game. Late in the third period, a flying puck in the air, and Wayne, you did a number on this one.
Well, the puck came in the air, and at the last second, I was there, and I just kind of spun around, and I waited for it to get down, and just as it got down, I just kind of golfed at it and barely missed it. I thought it was going in the net, and I had a little bit of a hook on it, and it would have been nice for that to go in.
Ever scored looking for the outfield wall?
Well, I've got a few like that. I've been very lucky, but I thought that one was going in.
And Mike Schmidt gave Wayne a bat last night, and Mike Schmidt will get a couple of Gretzky sticks tonight. Now, you go home for 3 games. This is a different thing in comparison to all the other 7-game series where it's 2-2, 1-1-1. This is 2-3 in your building and now 2 back here. What you've guaranteed yourself is a chance to win all 3 in Edmonton if that's possible. That's a nice feeling to know that.
Well, we came in here with the idea that we wanted to win 2 hockey games, and we wanted to bear down and win the first one and win the second one, but unfortunately that didn't happen. And after you lose the first hockey game, your attitude is, well, we came here for a split. Yesterday morning we had a little bit of a meeting. We went over game films and just basically came to the rink and had a little bit of a light skate, and we all went out together after practice and just said, you know, we got to treat this game like we won the last game. We got to keep our heads high. We're a pretty good hockey club, and it's a long way from being over. We got the win that we wanted to get, and now we have 3 at home.
And of course, most teams will tell you it's very difficult to spend a week on the road. You can get stale pretty quick. Wayne, thanks very much.
Thank you very much, Al.
Wayne Gretzky, our mobile player of the game, and tonight's Oiler victory. And Philadelphia, only the 2nd time in the last 24 games for Philadelphia.
There's 1, and the Stanley Cup final is tied at 1 game apiece. Back in the broadcast booth with Gary Green. Gary, I thought that the Oilers were as dominant tonight as the Flyers were in Game 1.
I really felt exactly the same way, Dan. I think that for as well defensively that the Philadelphia Flyers played in game number 1, the Edmonton Oilers played equally as well defensively in this game. And of course, they also were able to come up with 2 goals and then the empty net. So I think that really we saw almost a duplicate, except just teams traded places in this game number 2.
Now 3 games in Edmonton. What's that mean?
Boy, I'll tell you, I just from personal experiences with hockey clubs would far rather come to this building and play 2 games and then go home to your own building for 3, especially realizing that all you've got to really do is get 1 win in this building. The Oilers have done that.
Okay, Al, that's our thinking up here.
Well, Dan, it was absolutely amazing to me how the Philadelphia Flyers were unable really to get a legitimate scoring chance for the entire 3rd period. The Oilers really put on the squeeze defensively. Mike, how did you see it?
Well, that's the story in a nutshell, as it were. Earlier this season, the Oilers came out at the beginning of the season and showed the NHL that they could really play a defensive brand of hockey, and for a while had the lowest goals against average in the league. And I think we saw that tonight. They didn't worry about what Philadelphia was going to do to them and how they're going to break out. They were able to score first and carry the lead, and that's easier to play that way. But more than that, they stayed in their game plan of not letting Philadelphia control the game. And I think that they were just able to control their frustrations. It would have been very easy for them to become frustrated, and it paid off for them. They were successful in what they wanted to do, and